Welcome back to Dave's Gone By on this very, very special Sunday night. It was supposed to be a Sunday night about a month ago, but didn't happen then, but I'm thrilled that it is happening now. We have with us on the phone a pretty legendary singer-songwriter, formerly known as Jane Siberry, currently known as Issa, and still making some pretty amazing music. Issa, welcome to the Daverhood.
Me bad, Dave. I'm sorry I missed your last interview. It was my fault.
Oh, okay. Well, don't apologize to me. Apologize to the listeners, and they forgive you, and we love you, and it's all okay now. So you were in a concert or something, like you couldn't even get to.
I was on stage, if that's any kind of excuse.
Well, what songs were you doing while we were waiting for you? Do you remember what your set list was?
It was the end of the show, therefore I was doing Walk on Water, which people might have heard before, and then the last song was a new song called We Are Low. And I didn't do it because I was in Montreal. I did it in English-speaking countries, too.
Okay.
Countries. Did I say countries? Yes. And then I was... Yes. So.
Yes. Okay. Well, no, it's cool. I'm thrilled that you're here tonight. And just so much stuff to talk about, both about your work and about, well, your life, even though I'm sure you're pretty darn sick of answering questions about your big life change a couple of years ago. But I guess one more time it wouldn't hurt to go through that again. But why don't we start from the very, very early part? In fact, one of the records that you released a few years ago was your first recordings when you were still like a teenager. So you came to music pretty early, I assume.
Yeah, I did. I've always played piano by ear, and I didn't learn guitar till I was 16. But yeah, it's always been a surprise that other people didn't do it all the time like I did.
And did you pick it up pretty quick when you were doing the guitar and then piano?
Yeah, I play by ear, so I can pick up most things and play it.
See, I play by my fingers, and it takes me forever. I should probably do the ear thing instead.
Well, how many ears do you have? It helps if you have.
Well, I have 2 ears and 10 fingers, so I should be 8. It's the other 8 fingers that are getting in the way. I think that's the big problem right there.
Oh. Well, if you'd like to talk to my mother, she's right here. She can tell you about when I played piano when I was young.
Are you kidding me? Your mom is there?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Put your mom on the phone. I get 2 for 1 tonight.
You do, and I just happened to be in a hotel room with my mom, and here she is. She can tell you whether the rumors about me are true or not.
Okay.
So I introduce you to Shirley Stewart. This is my mother.
Oh, hi, Shirley Stewart. Hi. This is Dave Lefkowitz.
Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, Shirley Stewart. Boy, I mean, we hear about celebrities like Britney Spears and having these horrible things, and then you come across a celebrity who's in a hotel room with her mom. I mean, that's...
Oh, we're just having a ball.
Well, that's terrific. Are you on tour with her, or are you just visiting, or what's the deal?
No, we're in a small town outside of Toronto. We came here to celebrate Fred Siberry's 90th birthday with all our relatives. Fred
being your uncle. Okay, cool. Just checking.
And the husband of the aunt that she admired so much. So we've been here with all the relatives.
Well, that's great.
What would you like to know about Jane?
This is bizarre. Okay, What do you remember when she came to you and said, "Mommy, I wrote a poem," or "Mommy, I wrote a song," and you said, "Oh, that's nice. Let me hear it."
Oh yes, I do. When she started composing, she'd be doing her thing, and we'd all be in bed, and I'd hear these little footsteps on the stairs, and I'd hear this little voice saying, "Mom, are you asleep?" And I'd go down to the kitchen, and she'd play me her latest song, and I'd listen to it, and I'd say, "That's very nice, but I need to hear it again," so she might play it 2 or 3 more times for me. Cool. When I should have been in bed and asleep.
And did you, I assume in those years you encouraged her, but was it tougher to encourage her when she became sort of a teenager and young adult, and were you worried, oh, she needs to get a regular job, or was that never a consideration kind of a thing?
No, she got her honors degree in microbiology from Guelph University. And when she had her gown and her cap on and her diploma in her hand, she walked down to her dad and handed him the diploma and said, "Now I'm going to do music for the rest of my life."
And her dad said, or did his jaw just drop and say, "Ah"?
No.
Here's a checkbook and, no, what?
She's always been interested in music, and she played in cafes when she was at university.
Mm-hmm.
She took music lessons, and she did finish the theory, but the practical, nobody could really teach her because she had a good ear.
Yeah.
But
I'm curious. It's probably not a fair question to ask, but do you have a favorite Jane Siberry / Issa song?
I like One More Color.
Uh-huh.
Oh, there's so many favorites.
Well,
I love the hockey because it reminds me of my youth, and I think that came from stories that I told her of where I grew up,
mm-hmm.
which was on the edge of a pond.
Oh, okay.
Grenadier Pond. She's a marvelous daughter. I'm really lucky.
Okay.
She is. She really is. She has included her dad and me in everything all the way along.
Well, obviously you're right there with her, and that's. I have one more question for you, and then I kind of obviously want to get back to talking to her. But how did you feel about the life change a couple of years ago? I assume you had to be supportive, but did you look at it and go, where's she going with this, or was it like, oh, that's kind of a nice idea?
Well, I was sort of relieved because she really worked hard when she had her own business, Sheba.
Uh-huh. And
she didn't have enough space, I didn't think, because I used to try and help her with the office, the odd jobs, and when she didn't have time to clean, I used to try and help with that.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, it's an all-consuming job to run a record company. I mean, literally mailing everything and getting the silk screens and the T-shirts and the mugs and what have you, and then having to concentrate on some point on music. I mean, where's the room for that? Yeah.
It was a nightmare at times, but she managed.
Mm-hmm. She's
very innovative, and I'm very proud of her.
And do you call her Issa now or Jane? I'm wondering. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Really? What do you just say? Hey there?
When I answered the phone this morning, when she called me, I said, I started to say Jane Bell, and then I changed it to Issa.
So it might take another couple of months before it really totally still sinks in. Jane Bell. Is Jane a shortening of Jane Bell? Or is that just a little nickname?
That's our nickname.
Oh.
Well, my son changed his name. And if you're going to change your life and your lifestyle, according to the Kabbalah, changing your name's all right. The right thing to do.
Now, no offense, but what are you? You're not Jewish, are you?
No.
Okay, well, you mentioned the Kabbalah.
Well, I studied it. There's nothing wrong with studying it. I studied it for 4 years.
Oh, my gosh. So you're not quite the typical, middle-class mom housewife either, obviously, if you're studying the Kabbalah for 4 years. So.
Well, my children have included me in their life, and it certainly broadened me.
That's wonderful. That's really terrific.
It is wonderful. I'm a very fortunate woman.
Well, I feel very fortunate to be able to talk to you, Issa's mom, but I still, obviously want to talk a bit to Issa, if she's still there. So if we could get her back on the phone, I would love to talk to her.
Yes,
I don't know if
she's
you have a
right here.
Two-line thing.
Absolutely stunning.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, by the way, in the neighborhood here, we're talking to Issa and Issa's mom, who was really fun to talk to. But I think Issa's back on the line now.
Yes.
Hey, welcome back. I didn't ask her anything too personal or upsetting. Don't worry, I didn't freak your mom out in any fashion. At least I hope not. Or is she glaring at you as we're?
No,
Okay.
No, but I do want to clarify one thing. It doesn't matter what my name is. Whenever I call her, she usually says, "Who?"
Thanks, Mom. Yeah, that's nice. Now, aside as we've gone through the fact that you wanted to divest of running Sheba Records and having all this, but artists were forever complaining and still do about big record companies. Now, you were part of one of them for a while with Warner Brothers, so you dealt with all that, and then started your own company, and then that became too much. So you've seen both sides of it. What made it really impossible? Was it the digital revolution that kind of made running an old-fashioned record company passé? I know it's kind of a weird question.
No, the digital revolution. I had different things happening with Sheba that weren't just music. I was trying to do different things through it, including a design line and having doing more visual things like film, etc. But so that still it meant more than just me doing it and running an office and managing people. It was really interesting, and it was a crucible in which I really learned a lot about myself and acquired a lot of compassion for other people running businesses and doing it well. And Warner Brothers, I had more understanding of what they had created and the good parts about it. So no, the digital, I could still be in that situation now, even if I had just downloads, because it was more than just, putting music out there.
Would you ever, I saw a little thing on your website where in your blog part you said that more and more musicians are being offered nice packages and sign-up fees and things by record labels, and they're saying, no thanks, we're doing it ourselves, and that's a good thing. Would you ever go back to a big label, or we're beyond that forever?
No, sure I would. If the vision of the label was in alignment with my values, etc., sure. Just because it's a big label doesn't mean that it's a bad label, that it's bad. And I think we're going to see more leadership, from people who, see it quality before profit, or earth before profit, or all that, or operating on a higher level before profit, and then that will be a new way of having success, that it will bring profit on it in its own way. I think you'll see that kind of thinking coming into companies that can be big.
In our lifetime. Okay.
Yeah. As long as we live long. But, don't you?
I hope so. It'd be lovely.
But I think it'll be different than what a normal label is now. And when I did talk to different labels, after I left Warner Brothers, and then I had Sheba, and then I did talk to labels after that too, because I was creating music that I still wanted it to get out there. Mm-hmm. So I did still talk to people, but my lawyer and I came up with what we thought was a really win-win contract for the new millennium for labels, for systems that were using music as its.
In what way is it a win? Are you talking about the pricing system now?
With the label, no, it's just the ownership of rights.
Okay.
And having things results-oriented, so that if the results weren't there, that would be reflected in adjusting the deal. And things that were results-oriented on both sides.
But then again...
But they're very one-sided, and also you have systems that can't change necessarily that easily. It takes time.
Yeah, but also, again, to be devil's advocate here, if you have something that's results-oriented, doesn't that force the performer to be more commercial, so to speak?
No. What would the results be from the performer?
Well, the results would be how many downloads, how many purchases, how many T-shirts. And if the performer's making more music that can be played on more radio stations and more people who are not necessarily cult advocates of that performer are into it, then that music will quote-unquote sell. I mean, it's the oldest, obviously, commerce-related story in the book. That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm. But when they sign you, they're signing you, I mean, it has to be clear that they know what they're getting, and that I guess you would define your parameters as clearly as you could, saying that you're not going to change much from the way you are, but if they think that that's a valuable thing for them to work with, then they know what they're getting, and then results on their end would be, that the budget for marketing for this record would be
now that's a good point.
This, and that they would have this many ads and this many at a certain level media format, and they'd have this many units in the stores.
Now, see, that makes sense to me, yeah.
And then if it doesn't, if they start losing money and they have met their requirements, then both of you have to say, well, it's not in the air, and then we should lose at the same time.
Okay, I get that. And also, and it takes into account that some artists will have a fan base of 10,000, and they don't have to have a fan base of 100,000 or 1 million. You can start from different levels and tiers and understand, that they'll relatively stay in those places, and that's okay, as long as both the company and the artist are working from the same vision of where that artist is.
Yeah, and artists have to be more, I believe, more accountable for themselves and informed about, that a company is not a charity. It's not an altruistic thing. It's meant to be a business, but there's a way to have a balanced transaction between both parties. But it's not meant to be. I mean, Warner Brothers lost a lot of money through me, and the advances they were giving me were way too high. And
I've never heard an artist say something like that. Never.
Oh, well, they were, and at a certain point, I really felt like I wasn't pulling my weight, and that doesn't feel good.
Wow.
And so when they wanted to renegotiate the advances, I said yes. And then they added that they wanted to insist that I work with a producer, and then I said no, because at that point I just finished, I think, When I Was a Boy, and then I did Maria. Mm-hmm. And I felt they didn't get me, and that I actually was a good producer. And,
well, When I Was a Boy is I think, and I think a lot of people think, a real masterpiece. I mean, not that you haven't done great work since or before, but something about that album remains really, really special. So I can understand your attitude of being like, hey, I can do this. I can do this just fine by myself.
Yeah, and that, well, I really think what makes someone, that success comes from my definition of success, which I think can be a commercial definition, comes from something being as undistilled as possible. That's what gives it durability. And as long as it touches people somehow, so if it's heart-oriented, to me that's a pretty good formula. But it's rare that, I mean, these stories are so old, where someone has a hit and then the record company almost shoots itself in the foot by not getting records into the stores in time, or doing things, making moves that everyone else is saying, well, I don't get it. They deliver, or they just cause themselves to lose a lot of money when they seem to want money, and then they do things that make them lose money. You know what I mean? So I think success comes from making someone more unique than the opposite. So to me, I would really admire a record company person who listened to a demo tape and then sent it back and said, I really think you could be more you than what I hear here.
Well, maybe that takes a Clive Davis or something. I don't know.
I don't know much about him, but I don't think it happens very often, if ever.
But then again, when they get a demo tape, how do they know who the you is? You know, they have to live with a person and see them in concert 5 times or something just to know who the you might be. And see them backstage.
Hopefully they've done a fair bit of that if they sign them, but you can tell when people are trying to sound like Alanis Morissette or whatever they think is the thing that will move them into alignment with commercial success. You can smell a rat. People can smell a rat. The everyday person is probably the best person for smelling a rat.
The what? I'm sorry, I missed that. The what person?
The everyday person. I think I have so much respect for everyday people, and often they can't articulate it. Yeah, but they know when something's off, even if they don't know how to express it. But people are so smart. Anyway, they can tell when someone, they can smell the truth and they can smell fear. Hello, everyone. This is Issa, and you're listening to Dave's Gone By on WGBB.
It is kind of fascinating to talk about the business part of all this, and the fact that you, even before Radiohead, even though they got all the notoriety for it, you were doing the whole pricing as you please thing before they were, which is, you know, go to the website, and if you want to download a song, pay what you think is worth, pay what you can afford. And this set the whole industry on its ear, because they were thinking, well, everybody will just pay nothing, or will they? So what's been your experience with that to date?
Well, it's an old model. I mean, it's a flexible interface so that when someone comes to your table in the bazaar, you try to make sure they don't walk away without something that they would enjoy, unless they really don't want it. So you say you try to find the right price for them. I mean, it's the same principle.
Well, no, in the bazaar.
In this case,
sorry?
But in this case, it's the person coming to the table who decides their price, and that's fine. No.
I mean, actually, in a bazaar, they're going to try and sell you anything, and if you don't want it, they'll just mark it down. I mean, it's kind of a little different. At least people coming to your site will probably want to get something from you. That's why they're there. And I guess, as you say, then it's good to find a reasonable negotiation. And that has worked for you so far?
Well, yeah. I mean, when I had fixed pricing for downloads, I'd say I'm making a bit more now. But right now, I think, for me, I'm making much less with downloads than I did when I was selling CDs. But in the end, when I had my own little company, the costs were so high for the manufacturing and mail order and staff and everything that went into it that it wasn't worth it. But well, I guess maybe you're right. I'll have to think about that market thing. But the flexible interface thing is based on a respect for people's sense of balance, and I suppose that's maybe one difference anyway.
Well, here's a question. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when you listen to music, do you go on iTunes, or do you go to these different websites and do you pay anything, or is all the music that you personally listen to free?
When I would download from Napster, and I downloaded a lot, I loved it. It was so perfect, because when someone said, why don't you do a cover version of this song for us, then I would go to Sam the Record Man, and then I would, spend $200 on every version I could find, and that would be one song on a whole record that I didn't listen to. So downloading was just so efficient and quick, so I loved it.
Oh, okay.
But what I would do was I can't say I did it by the end, but for a long time I would send $2 to the Sweet Relief Fund that Victoria Williams had. So I just decided for myself what I wanted to pay, because no one was set up to, pay what you want or whatever. There was no option, so I just decided myself how to balance it. But on my website now, people can balance it there, or they can. My favorite part is that they can balance it with me, or they can balance it on a wider level, by buying, an extra CD at a young band's show or something like that, or talk to an elder for longer than they really have time for and give them energy, or people can pay back on a wider level, and that's just perfectly fine with me.
So it goes to that 1990s thing of pay it forward that well, people kind of made fun of, but seemed like a pretty nice idea, actually, of doing it. Well, in my culture, it'd be mitzvahs or good deeds, or just, having something done right and then paying it back by doing something good for somebody else. I mean, I think that's okay.
Yeah, and then if you do it for someone else and there's no measurement, you don't know if the person paid it forward or not. So you just send it out into the universe cleanly and clearly. Don't you think?
Well, no, I think that's. And speaking of sending things out into the universe and sending them out there, I do kind of wonder, when you were divesting your stuff and you were saying, I need to leave more simply, I need to get all this clutter and stuff out of my life so I can live and be an artist and feel a sense of personal freedom. What were like one or two of the really toughest things that you had to let go?
The last things I've been able to let go of, and I still haven't let go of some of them, are like, and maybe I won't, because I didn't want to be really hard on myself and rip out my roots faster than was respectful to myself. But slowly I've been able to let go of things like on New Year's Eve this year, I went to my locker and finally went through my cassette tapes from all my first records up to, I guess, Maria, like from my first record through when I was a boy, and all the cassettes of my early versions, and just playing the song on the piano, and those were quite precious to me. But then I thought, I don't think I'll ever listen to them. They're precious, but I don't have to have them.
What did you do?
It doesn't stop them from being precious.
Yeah.
By getting rid of them.
Well, I mean, you can get rid of them by giving them to, say, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or what did you do with them? I
went. While everyone else was partying, I was going into warehouse parking lots looking for dumpsters.
You're kidding me.
No.
You dumped them?
Yeah, I don't want... I thought there was a certain arrogance to thinking someone else would like to spend 40 hours of their life listening through to all that stuff. I don't know. It just seems...
well, I mean...
It doesn't mean I haven't kept some things, and they'll go probably to the National Library in Ottawa.
Okay, that's phew. I mean, imagine if somebody felt that way, if Bob Dylan one day said, I've done enough, I think I'll just find a dumpster somewhere and take these 1958 Boogie Guthrie songs I was doing, and who needs to hear them? I mean, hello? I'm sorry, that strikes me as a little too, no offense, but yipes. I also... Yeah.
But, you mean masters?
Well, or even just these homemade little cassettes of you at of stuff that you can never get back, of stuff that isn't somewhere else recorded and saved.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like throwing out
I think it's sort of arrogant to think that they should be... I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, Dave, but I...
Or maybe you'll have... I don't know if you won't have kids, right? But maybe... do you think you'll ever have kids, or...
Well, if I had kids, I would want them to have a life. And I don't want someone doing a book on me, and I just don't want to take up... I put out the best that I could, and I don't know. I don't want to be I don't want to be responsible for people not having a life.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Okay. And on a lighter note, I mean, one thing that I was kind of surprised is that something that you couldn't sell, that you still held on to, was your collection of Miles Davis CDs. And yet you keep them in storage, which is like this...
I gave them away to someone at the locker beside mine.
Oh, okay. Because if you're keeping the CDs in storage, that's as good as not having them anyway. I mean, the point of CDs is that they're, you can listen to them. You take them out. But I guess that you can listen to online if you through iTunes or whatever. Yeah.
Sure, there's a bit of a distortion in that it sounds like I've gotten rid of stuff, but I do have a lot of stuff on my laptop.
And you have a car, you drive?
No, I let my car go. No, I rent if I really need a car.
Okay.
And I pay a lot more for things because I don't keep. For example, say when you get a cold, then you get pills and this and that, and maybe a hot water bottle, and then you have it, and then you have to cart it around with you. So I end up giving away lots of things and then buying them afresh next time. So all the just-in cases that...
Yeah, no, that I get. I mean, you don't stock up at Costco on toilet paper. I mean, you get 2 rolls and boom, there you are. Or not, because you're living in hotels half the time, so, I mean, that you get free, I'm assuming. I'm not trying to make light, but there is a kind of a humorous...
So far it's free.
Oh.
So far the toilet paper is free in hotels. I don't know. Well, sometimes it's so fancily folded up, though, you don't really feel you should be using it. But
well, in your idea of the universe, though, maybe hotels will start thinking so ecologically and green conscious that they'll start using recycled toilet paper, but have to charge people for it. So.
Well, I hope so. I really hope so. I think it's pretty. It's coming, but the people who stay in hotels usually have money, and it seems like they should, anything in a luxury situation should be especially green conscious because but green hotels are coming, but yes, it's pretty slow. It's pretty upsetting, and you have to cart things out of hotel rooms.
We're talking, by the way, with Issa, and thrilled to be doing that. Do you have a couple more minutes?
I do. I don't feel very coherent tonight, so I hope that I'm still making sense. But
well, I never make sense. So between the two of us, we're completely illogical. But that's the nature of this program. It's fine.
Oh no, I'm counting on you to make me sound good, Dave.
Oh, well, I'll do it in the editing. Believe me, the whole interview will be 3 minutes long, and it'll sound amazing. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. And your mom was great, by the way. She's fabulous.
I don't believe anything she said.
Fair enough.
I'll tell you something different next time.
Now, let's get to the art. I'm sure that's more interesting to you and more fun for you to talk about. So let me ask you a really dumb question that people ask songwriters. Which comes first, the music or the lyrics?
Do people really care about that? I mean, are you really...
Well, yeah. I think that I care about the process. So I'm kind of curious what your process is.
I bet you've heard from other artists that sometimes they can't even remember how they wrote a song.
Sure, absolutely. That? Yeah. And I also... Yeah, sorry. I talk to a lot of theater writers and composers. So, some of them just do the melody, or someone will come up with a phrase and that turns into a song. So it is interesting to me how the process happens for different kinds of songwriters. That's why I asked.
Yeah, well, sometimes I can't remember how did I ever write a song. It's a wonder to me. I don't have a clue. That's how far songwriting is from the normal state of mind, I think. But when I am in that mode, actually, I described it in Vladimir, a song called Vladimir, Bird in the Cradle. Mm-hmm. Something captures me, and then I try to capture it back. So it's really simply a power struggle, and there can't be equilibrium or rest until you're both sort of frozen in the middle of the ring. So if something moves me, I really can't rest until I've captured it somehow. Isn't that a terrible thing to do to something? It is really enjoyable. I just keep paraphrasing my songs. And in Writers Are a Funny Breed, I think I say, what if we just let things be? Writers are a funny breed. Why can't we just let things be? And that will be the end of the road for a writer.
Yeah, artists can never do that. They never let things be. They've got to always push and kick and tear a little bit. that's what it's all about.
Really?
I'm sorry?
Really? I said, really?
I think so. You know, I'll like maybe come from a different sort of more, I don't know, aggressive and unsettled place. Maybe I'll be different in a couple of years. I don't know.
Okay. But, do you believe we have to suffer to create something?
No, absolutely not. I think you can be in a really joyful place, but
so
while you're
kick and fight and bite in a happy way.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're still. I mean, you can start something and get a third of the way through it in absolute yeah, this is going, but then you have to finish it, whether it's a play or a song. And especially since some of the songs you write are now 5 or 6 or 8 minute mini epics, like Grace Hospital or songs like that, where that doesn't just come out in one thing and you get up from the piano and 45 minutes and it's done. So there's some grappling going on and some weeding and some heavy work with the pliers and the scissors. Or am I wrong?
I think that you're trying to eke all my dirty little secrets out of me.
Oh, well, yeah, that's
my
job.
Yeah, no, won't happen here. Not with my mother in the room anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, I was also tempted to ask about the personal life of whether, the really typical sort of stuff of what is your social life, if you don't mind, whatever.
No, I'm surprised more people don't ask me about it, and it actually makes me feel hurt that people don't ask me more about it. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe. Well, basically, I don't have much of one because I don't live anywhere. And
well, your mom's in a hotel room with you. That tells you something right there. But no, I kid.
Yeah. No, today is actually it is big day. It is my uncle's 90th birthday, and this is Siberry. He and his wife were the inspiration for me changing my name to Siberry. So.
Oh, okay.
Very special day. So now my personal life. No. What were you talking about? Songwriting? Oh, the lyrics.
No. So I don't even, and forgive me for not even knowing this, or if this is too personal, but I honestly don't know your orientation, and it's maybe none of my business, but I'm curious.
North.
Canadian. That's your orientation is Canadian.
I'm up there.
Well, when was the last time you were in a relationship? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, sorry, I lost the...
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. A good one, a bad one? Can you be more specific?
Anyone that wasn't just a date, something that was a real sort of a couple turning into a couple, even if it didn't end well.
Coupling. Oh, coupling.
Well, yeah, okay.
Gee. Can I get back to you on that?
Sure, if you want to be on another episode.
Okay. It might be a few years, but...
Now you know why people don't ask you these questions, okay. I'm kidding.
Well...
No, but is it a sore spot, or is it just so personal that you don't...
It's not a sore spot, it's more I just can't remember, partly.
Oh.
But orientation-wise, I really think that's none of anyone's business.
Okay.
And I'm always... don't be too nice about it. I'm always surprised when people introduce themselves with their orientation, or that I really think I don't know. Or if we do, I think maybe it's a really good goal for us to always be removing any word that separates us, or separates us in a superficial way. So. Maybe our question is, are you gay, are you straight, are you black, are you white, are you Asian?
Well, I know you're white,
no,
and female.
So,
yeah,
well, so you think.
Fair enough, okay. I haven't checked the chromosomes, but yeah, I'm assuming that there's a femininity there.
Well, I have more feminine energy than masculine. See, I'm actually too precise, because... I think the ultimate marriage is within, and that means that would be probably even parts male and female. So, and you didn't ask which life, or how many. I mean, I have been male in other lives, and I have been female. Are you talking about this life?
Yeah. I tend to be a this life kind of a guy. Okay. I know I'm being a little glib, but I am a this life kind of a guy.
Okay.
Because in my next life, I'll be on NBC, yeah.
Oh, my gosh, you're old-fashioned.
Yes, well, yeah, I am.
Going backwards.
Okay. I mean, I totally admit it. I'm a thoroughly middle-classy kind of ghetto consciousness, not ghetto like black ghetto, but ghetto like Jewish Warsaw ghetto kind of, what's wrong with him kind of a guy. That's me. That's where I come from. But I don't say that, but,
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
When people are thinking that about you?
Yeah, well, I'm sure. After they hear me for a while, what's wrong with him? And then they hear me some more, and then they don't care. So.
Yeah, you don't mean...
No, not with you. With me. Believe me.
No, I hope you don't mean that about you either.
No,
Anyway, what's a middle-class ghetto?
Well, I'm saying that, like, the shtetl mentality, the mentality that comes out of Brooklyn, New York, and being Jewish and being oppressed for however many thousand of years, even though I'm not particularly oppressed now, I'm one of those people who oppress themselves. And so, I've got enough to contend with living this life, let alone worrying about if I was a sheep 2,000 years ago in Babylonia. That's all I'm saying.
That's all you're saying?
Yeah. I told you we shouldn't have gone here. Oh, well.
Well, the next obvious question is, do you think time is linear, or are all our lifetimes happening at the same time? If we're going to be precise in our communication.
Well, if we want to be precise, I don't know. And with all due respect, I don't think anybody can know. I think time may fold back on itself in that sort of helix physics kind of way, but until I'm dead and God explains it to me, if he has a free moment and he wants to, that's all I can go on is what I know from here. And I'm not psychic, and I've never had any kind of psychic or otherworldly powers. I've had the occasional deja vu moment. That's about it. So I have to go from a very prescribed kind of, this is my life, I'm here, I die, I may come back, I may not. I can't leap into a place where people like you go and say, oh, well, this is just this particular life, and there's another life that I'm leading right now somewhere else, and then a life that will happen when I die and come back, and blah, blah, blah.
When I die and fold back upon myself.
As it were.
As it were, and as it were in the beginning.
I'm not. Yeah, I should be asking you these questions. But.
Well, I must say I'm a little bit concerned because you're not painting a very attractive picture of yourself.
Well, okay. I'm not necessarily.
I'm concerned for yourself because I don't believe that's true, or you wouldn't have a radio show called Days Gone By.
Well, I can be nostalgic, and I can value old times and things that make me happy through my life. Doesn't necessarily mean I have to believe in a further life beyond, or that I had all these past lives or future lives.
No, I didn't mean that, and I'm not saying I believe in that either.
Oh.
I don't care about that, but just you're painting yourself as, I don't know how well you do on, partners.com.
Is that like a Match.com kind of a thing, like a?
Yeah, dating, because I don't know, middle class. What's wrong with that guy?
Well, ask my wife. I've been married for 10 years, so.
Oh, maybe is she there?
No, I'm
my mother, and I'll talk to you. That'll be.
No, my mom would paint a beautiful picture of me, and my wife maybe more Dorian Gray. With me, I'm not sure how it would come. It'd be half gray and half rather bizarre, sort of Dali-esque and melting. I think that would be the picture. Speaking of which, getting back to you, since this is about you, when did the painting come in?
Last year.
Just started?
Well, yes.
Oh.
I've wanted to paint for a long time, but I've never, and sometimes I take sketchbooks, but I've never been able to paint. But last year when I was working with the engineer in Vancouver and sitting around a lot while he did complicated rhythm things that I asked him to do, I started painting, and for some reason I can paint. But I think I'm painting in an abstract way, so it's like I took the bars, I took the limitations away, trying to paint exactly what I could see in my head, and for some reason that's allowed me to start painting, so it's been fun.
Do you see a connection there? Because, I mean, everyone from Bob Dylan to Joni Mitchell to a lot of people who, Tony Bennett, who are musically inclined, somehow feel that they need to pick up a brush and be inclined that way as well.
Oh, gosh, you just made me feel so special.
Well, okay, these are, you have a pretty nice canon of musical work, so I think it's fair to include you among some pretty special songwriters and singers.
Actually, I didn't mean that, but...
what did you mean?
The painting is just a very personal, private thing, and it's been really fun. And I actually have often thought it made more sense that I'd be a painter than a musician, because I pretty well see each song before I write it, which gets back to your other question.
Oh, now that is interesting.
So it seemed more logical that I paint or do films, and I used to keep track of paintings that I'd see full-blown, all the details, and I would write them in words in case I ever learned how to paint.
Wow.
Like paintings that were on file cards. But.
So, I mean, this is kind of an obvious thing, but, like, when you wrote Lena is a White Table, did that, you just suddenly see a white table and then the song came?
Yeah, I could see the breeze and the post at the corner of the porch and the quality of light, and and the people, the sort of hosers on the hill talking to each other about playing darts, but oddly, that song I think is one of the saddest songs I've ever written, because when you write in your diary, you can write about the middle spectrum of your life, but the happiest moments and the worst moments never go into the book. So if anyone ever got a hold of your journals and wrote, the biography of blah, 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 which I wish people would stop doing, because I think people should. I just feel terrible when I hear, don't feel terrible, but, I heard about someone who spent 27 years of her life going through all the records of this, what I didn't think was a very interesting person, to write a book and do a movie about her.
Whom, like Edie Sedgwick or someone like that, or someone I'd never heard of, you mean?
Yeah, I don't remember the name, but I felt really sick afterwards, and unfortunately it was a premiere and the director was there, and anyway, I wanted to leave before I said anything, but I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, so in other words, before you go, you're going to make sure that your journal finds a dumpster somewhere.
Maybe. Actually, I have kept hold of all my journals, and I think, I have to think about that before I let them go.
Well, that's fair.
Those are the hardest things, the real things that are a reflection of your soul, I suppose. The closer you get to the quick, when you get rid of your possessions, you get the things you love. And there's no reason to get rid of them. I'm not recommending it for anyone, but for me it was either get rid of them or die in a certain way.
Ouch.
At a certain level.
But doesn't the deepest stuff go into some of your songs?
Yes. So Lena is a White Table, thank you, was about something at the bottom end of the spectrum that you don't have words for, and so that's why it's such a surreal image. I could just pour the emotion into the chorus, and the rest of the song is just more sort of, not silly, but lighter. So that's a song about something I just didn't have the words for.
Huh.
And so I didn't use normal words. When people are in a state of shock and they start to babble, but they're saying something.
Right. Well, yeah, there's something behind it, yeah. Yeah.
And so when you hear people who are supposedly mentally ill, it's saying something, but with different languages. Hello, everyone. This is Issa, and you're listening to Dave's Gone By on WGBB.
time to, unfortunately, wrap up our conversation with Issa. It's been fun. It's been wild. It's been weird and kind of as I expected, and a little psychoanalytical on my end, which I wasn't sort of expecting. But that was fun, too, I think. I hope it wasn't painful. I hope it won't be one of the lowlights that you leave out of your journal because it was so miserable. I'm kidding. I am kidding here. Okay.
Honestly, I don't think I would write about this in my journal anyway. But no, I'm just kidding. But yes, so what I was saying about journals is that it really isn't. It's a distortion. It's bookended by silence on either end. The real core is at either end, not in the middle, not what people hear about. But it's just something that I realize when I'm reading a biography or whatever.
Okay. If
people are like me, anyway.
Well, to hear the silences and the sounds of Issa, I guess we should have said this a while ago, but, you do have websites where people can download for various things and your music and your tchotchkes, as it were. One is IssaLight.com, right? And the other is, you still have the Sheba website as well, the Sheba Records.
.ca, that's where all the music is, yeah.
So, and you can get to Sheba from IssaLight.com as well.
Yep.
There's a link. So, if you want to support Issa and her vision and her music, that's the place to go.
Please don't say that.
Oh, no. Why not?
I don't want to be supported. If they want to check it out, sure.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you can support yourself. I'm glad that you're self-sustaining and
I'm not, but I just don't want to ask. Or it sounds funny to me. No, I need nourishment, and I need, but I know that I'll get it, and I just want it to come. I don't know. Just don't say it like that.
Okay, that's cool. If you want to check out Issa's work, just to look at it and to see and to hear it, that's the place to go, IssaLight.com. And also, of course, to see her. One of the reasons we wanted to talk to her a month ago was she was playing at the Bottom Line. That's where I saw her years ago. She was playing at Joe's Pub, and I'm sure you'll be back there at least once or twice in 2008, I hope, in New York.
Yeah.
Well, good. And of course, you're invited back on the show when you're back in town, and I think it's been...
Yeah, I might have to make a personal visit just because I am concerned about you, Dave.
Well, thank you. So our door is open here in the neighborhood. If you can schlep out to Babylon, Long Island, maybe you play Stevens Talk House or something like that, by all means, please come in.
House?
Oh, there's a place in on the East End called Stevens Talk House where a lot of the folk performers and well, I'm not that you're a folk performer, but people who aren't heavy, big rock bands and who are for a more intelligent, sort of discerning audience play.
What the heck?
It was a compliment.
Oh, okay.
Well, what do you? Okay, how would you describe yourself? How would you, if you were to describe your music, what would you call it?
I would say I'm a stylized storyteller with great taste in clothes.
I love it.
Do you have a seal there? What's going on?
That's my hands clapping. It's
okay.
The sound of two hands clapping. There's nothing Zen about it. It's middle class and Jewish. So stylist.
Hey,
yeah.
By the way, I have a complaint.
Sure.
I went to a Jewish storytelling night at Joe's Pub the night after my show.
Uh-huh.
You didn't happen to be there, did you?
No. I mean, was that one of those Hebe things? H-E-E-B?
Yeah. It was just awful. Really. I was so upset for the people in the audience too. It was just, oh my gosh.
Well, I apologize for Jews everywhere. It's all our fault. We're one collective, Hebraic sadness about it.
No, let me say, I went there because I know how wonderful Jewish storytelling is.
Oh, okay.
So it was a compliment.
Well, thanks.
But I just thought, a lot of. Okay, well, I just.
No, it's cool. It's I thank you for that odd kind of compliment thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, humor is to me a direct link to the divine as music is.
Well, we agree on that.
Yeah.
I mean, we totally agree on that, and I'm thrilled to be able to conclude on that note with the wonderful and the humorous and the very, very talented Issa.